the situation. Mr. Shudhir Bandyopadhyay was correct in saying that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar represented Bengal to begin with.
16
Correct. Right.
16 bloodless elections have proven our credentials that we are thoroughly embedded in democracy, and today, 26 November, which we are celebrating as a day of the Indian Constitution, I would like to congratulate the government of the day that they have thought it apt to celebrate this day for the first time ever. And these 16 elections have proven, and I'm not counting the Bihar elections, these 16 elections to Parliament have proven that the people of this country, the people of India, are much wiser and much saner than all of us put together who claim to represent them. We are talking about Dr. Ambedkar, we are talking about all the great names, but we also forget that in the spirit of things, they always believed in federalism. And consistently, in my 4 terms of parliament, I have been seeing whether it is this party when they were in power or whether it is your party that is in power today, all political parties, once they come to power at the center, the first thing they ever try to make is to thwart that very thought of federalism. Whether it is the National Investigating Agency that the UPA wanted, or the way the present government is behaving, all this goes to show that we poo-poo federalism, the idea, the concept of a federal democracy, and we believe that as a nation which has been our character, we believe that individuals matter. And that is probably one reason why India's history is full of Chandragupta Mauryas and Akbars and Babars and Birbals and all these individuals. But we do not have the downside up view of how the pyramid was at the bottom, how the people lived, what was their economy, what was their social system, and therefore we are always going awry, we are always getting disturbed because we did not capture history from the people's point of view. India's present Home Minister, in his speech which he delivered very succinctly, he said that Jhadu Marawing is something that is new to India that this government has brought about. I come from the state of Orissa, where our greatest Lord, Lord Jagannath, when he comes and sits on the chariot once a year, the first thing to invoke the Lord to come to his disciples is that the Gajapati Maharaja, the biggest of the big kings of Orissa, of the land at that time what was civilized India, he has to take a broom and sweep the chariot and the passage through which the Lord will go. This showed 2 things. This showed that the ruler has to be humble. You bend down before the people to sweep the road. And this was not Hinduism. This was the greatness of the Lord. And second, it showed that we cared for cleanliness also. Safai, like you Hindi people say, safai. So we believed in cleanliness and we believed in the rulers being humble. Are we actually doing that? When my mother was the chief minister, she used to clean her own bedroom and her toilet. And I learnt that while I was in Pondicherry and with my mother. We used to clean our homes. but we did not levy any cess on any individual or the nation. We did it because it gave us pleasure, not to tax the people. And neither did the king of Puri ever put a tax on his subjects, because he thought that I should clean the Lord's passage. I would go to
When our Home Minister was making this statement, he said that our Prime Minister was the first one to took the broom and started safying.
many
So
people.
now
Let us
you
not
say
get into that. Let us not get into that.
No, but then
Secular
how can you
as a word
skip this?
is something that is very well defined in the English dictionary. And I do not wish to describe that word here, because all the learned, highly qualified members of this house know how to refer to the dictionary, and they must have seen the word as it is defined there. We are a pluralist society. If that word sounds good to some people, that can be used. But how the word secular is translated into Hindi is not my problem. I am not a Hindi speaker. So let us not have a myopic view of the country that a certain word, when translated into Hindi, becomes perverted. Just because we don't speak Hindi does not mean we are not Indians. You have a concept which was discussed long back by the founders of the Dravida Kadagam movement. They said that if you think that the largest number of people speaking one language perforce make it their national language, then the crow, being the largest population of birds, should become your national bird also. In a pluralist society, it is time, in a secular society, it is time that we reassert, if we want this country to pass on to our children in a healthy and in a unified manner, it is time that we shed our ego and our aham bhav, and we come to a state where we decide as a nation, not as petty politicians or people who are in power temporarily, because we are seeing people change seats very often now. And let us decide to be totally intolerant towards intolerance. Let us not tolerate intolerance at all. And that does not end here in this house with a few people speaking a few words. That has to be implemented at the field with the people. And it is up to us, the onus lies on us, to prove that we mean what we speak. Everywhere, everybody speaks. On television we see that, in the media we see that. Everybody says, even in the house, some of the leaders, ministers also say, let us not politicalize the issue. Well, we are all politicians here, and we have come here through the process of politics. Let us not denigrate politics. But while we say that let us not politicize the issue, let us also think that we have come to a stage in the history of the world that, if there is such a word in English, I do not know, but like you have apolitical, is there a word called a-religious? Let us consider if we are prepared to face a level where we become a religious country. One is secular, where you tolerate all religions and you propagate. Everybody is free to propagate or preach or follow. The other is a-religious as a system, as a government. Why would you have certain pictures of certain gods in government offices and not pictures of other gods? So that is a question. It's a very small, petty little thing, but it's a thought that projects our mindset. We have, in Article 44 of the Directive Principle, it clearly states The state shall endeavor to secure for the citizens an uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. The Supreme Court has time and again asked Parliament to implement it. Why should one country have different laws for different groups of people? It is something, when we are discussing on the Constitution, it is time for all of you to start thinking. Where do you want to take this country? Article 19 of the Constitution says, it talks about freedom of expression. They use the word decency, morality, defamation, which are very vague words, indefinable. Like you object to secular, I object to morality, I object to decency. Because what is decent for me may not be decent for that December 16th rapist who is going to be set free on the 15th of December. So decency varies. Morality also varies according to geography. Therefore, when a young lawyer by the name of Shreya Singhal brought down Section 66A of the Information Technology Act simply by filing a PIL in the Supreme Court, just because 66A contained these very similar words, decency, morality, and people we saw how it was misused in Bombay in a certain situation, how it has been misused in the Northeast, in the case of so many states in the Northeast, how during a genuine protest in Gujarat, the internet was blocked, SMS was blocked. I question myself, how would a person sitting, say in Ahmedabad, find out what is his motel's room occupancy in New Jersey if he does not have internet? What a critical problem it can create for him, which maybe we will not be able to comprehend because we do not own motels in New Jersey or New York. But if we did, we would obviously appreciate this problem. Therefore, I think it is time we trust our people. I think that they are better than us. So we should give them freedom, absolute freedom, so that they can deal with the problems of this country with an open mind. Article 19, by the way, was not there initially in the Constitution of India. It was inserted by the first Home Minister of this country. It is true that we are a democracy, and it is also true we all accept the fact that democracy always invariably, not invariably, but always breeds capitalism. Our social structure is getting threatened and destabilized due to the ongoing battle of the rich and the poor. By taking away land and making people landless, you are creating good servants. By imparting limited capacity skill, everybody is going crazy about skill development. But please look at the other side also. By imparting limited ability skill, capacity skill, you are turning these semi-skilled people into great servants. Then you have the child labor prohibition and regulation law, which is being reconsidered now to be brought into the House for an amendment, where you will allow kids, very young children to work at homes and in private factories as servants. You are creating the best servants. By changing made into make. You have tried to kill innovation and entrepreneurship. We have to admit that no nation in this whole wide world has become great by producing slaves. Slavery never creates a great nation. Only innovation, only entrepreneurship, and something that comes from within, which I call spirituality. A lot of people think spirituality is connected to religion. But spirituality is that flash of brilliance which comes with innovative powers. That makes a nation great. It is time that we also try to make our children more innovative, more questioning, more inquisitive. And only then we can have a nation which will emerge as a great power in the world. I quote from chapter 4, article 39C. The state shall direct its policy towards ensuring that the operation of the economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth and means of production to the common detriment. To this, I could add that the system must also not permit concentration of economic powers in the hands of a few. And that is precisely what we are all trying to do right now. Our pride in our constitution gets into a gray area when we consider that our law enforcement is still being done primarily using the Police Act of 1861. This act is a colonial law. It was made by the colonial rulers to rule their subjects with a stern grip. And even today, while we talk about freedom and democracy and federalism and our constitution, we are still basically being controlled by a police act which is of 1861, and this House has never thought, no one has ever thought of reconsidering that act. Our governance system over the years has conveniently forgotten primary education. We have only concentrated on higher education because the rich and the upper middle class want their children to have better education, go to IITs and IIMs and so many other institutions with a final aim to migrate to some other country. But at the very basic level, primary education, we do not have teachers. We do not have trained teachers. We do not have classrooms. And we do not have the wherewithal to teach our children basic education. So this is like having an elevator in a 100-story skyscraper, and the elevator starts from the 12th floor. So you climb up to 12th floor if you can, then you catch the elevator. If you cannot climb up, goodbye to you. In education, language is very important. And sir, the concept of Rajbhasha and Rashtrabhasha is anathema to an united India. It is time that when you go and put up a Hindi word in the income tax office or a central government office, that learn this word today in a state like Tamil Nadu or Orissa or Karnataka. Similarly, or Bengal. Similarly, you put a Tamil word and a Bengali word and an Oriya word in Rajasthan, in Haryana, in Uttar Pradesh, in Banaras. Let the people in Banaras learn Bengali also. Let them learn Tamil also. So they will also love India for what India is today. Not because they feel that we are everything and nobody else is anything. Let us learn to respect the others so that we get respect ourselves. So finally, I would like to conclude by saying that we have all been troubled, this nation has been troubled, and the media has been giving us a pretty bad name, primarily because of the disturbances happening in this House. on this auspicious day, 26 November, the Constitution Day, I would like a very humble suggestion. I would like to make a very humble suggestion to the government of the day that let us, at least from our usual 80 to 90 days of sittings of the House, let us consciously try to make it at least 120 days of House per year, and give one day, just one day per week, to the non-government side. I am not saying opposition, I am saying non-government side, and whoever is heading it, whether it is the leader of the opposition or as it is now, if no party is capable because they are not even worthy to be opposition, the leader of the largest party which is struggling to survive, not acknowledging their own deficiencies and that they have been so badly rejected, let them have one day per week where let them decide on the agenda and let them concur there, let them discuss with all the other parties which are non-government parties, decide on one day and give that day for them to decide and discuss whatever they want, and let the government be the listener. And at conclusion, I would like to say that let us all admit we have a very long way to give justice to every single individual Indian. We are far, far away from giving a fair deal to our citizens. It will take a lot of energy, lot of sincerity, lot of honesty, and lot of love for this country to reach out to every single individual. It is not yet time for us to be smug and claim that we are a world power. We are nowhere near that. We are a great country. We are proud to be Indians, but let us make ourselves even better by making every single individual Indian to be proud being a member of this great family which has been blessed over centuries and throughout history of humanity. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Sri Anandara Adsul.